Hey, what up, everyone? This is Dr. Rizzo with Mentality Unleashed with my boy Kyle Lawson. How you doing today, man?
I'm here. I'm pumped. I'm excited to hear what it is we have to say.
I'm kind of nervous because we're live, bro.
Oh yeah, that's nothing. It's just the internet. It could only ruin your life.
You see me, bro? Like I'm all twinging. I want to get in with our sponsors, Covenant Coffee. We appreciate them. What they do is they serve the foster youth that's that's grown out of the system. Once they get 18, they get emancipated. They have to be on their own. So Covenant Coffee, they fill in and they give them coffee. They provide them housing. They provide them opportunity.
Yeah, that's cool.
So shout out to them.
Yeah, a lot of people support them, so they're obviously doing something right.
Yeah, man. And that's hard work.
Yeah.
That's really hard work. So shout out to them. What we're doing here is we're having a good discussion about how we improve, how we get better. I like to use the word and people make fun of me, how we get optimal.
Optimal. Okay.
I love that word, which means getting the maximum amount of results by doing the least amount of work. By using processes, blah, 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 blah. I was going to get a blah. Yeah. So this is my boy, Kyle. He has a good, I would say the best part of what I would say about you to characterize you is you have a good track record.
Okay.
You have a really good track record.
The last couple of years, right? Not before that.
The last, say, 10 years.
We'll say the last little bit. Just don't look too far back.
We'll say 3 years.
Yeah, don't look too far back.
Actually, 2 years.
Last week.
And what we're talking about today is vision.
Yeah.
Vision is something that we all have. Vision, dreams. We all have that. We all want to get somewhere. We all want to make an impact. But how do we make that vision come true?
Right.
And that's where we get into things like my boy has a specialty in is goal setting.
Right.
And getting there. But before we get there, let's build his credibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Kyle, who are you? Let me be specific. Because right now he's a real estate owner. He has his own real estate company. What's it called again?
Yeah. So our real estate team that I own it's Wayside Realtors.
Okay.
We're underneath an umbrella of a big brokerage company. And yeah, I do individual sales as well.
Beast, bro. Beast.
It sounds super glamorous, but we're just out here doing what we can.
It sounds glamorous, and I want to see how glamorous it is later in the episode.
Yeah.
But the thing is now we want to talk about is who were you before that?
Yeah.
What kind of childhood did you have?
Honestly, real estate's interesting, and I'll share a story in a second. So yeah, I was not supposed to be successful by, the standard of people are typically products of their environment, right? And so growing up definitely was not didn't pave the way for me to be some well-educated, set on a great path to be successful. That wasn't my upbringing. Honestly, I really try not to talk a whole lot about my upbringing because there's a level of conviction. I feel bad because I don't want to ever shame.
You don't put people on blast.
I don't want to shame my mom.
Yeah,
my dad, we could shame him. Mom. No, but in all reality, it wasn't super easy. It was sucky. And then I made it worse because I went into a major alcohol addiction, early on.
Yeah.
Starting in my teen years, I started drinking heavily, and that lasted for a lot of years. And I mean, it got really dark. So.
What's crazy?
From there to here, it was not supposed to happen, but it did.
What's crazy is you don't look like that guy.
I know. I've been told so many times. I've walked into offices and I've had it told oh, you can tell that kid comes from money. And
yeah.
Sure.
Stereotypes are sometimes true.
And you have no idea. Everyone thinks I had it so easy.
Yeah.
And that this business was just handed to me, and I inherited my business, or I inherited money to start my business. Yeah. And I love it because it's a compliment. It's an absolute compliment how people are not a product of their environment. They're a product of their decisions.
Dang, bro. Already dropping them nuggets. Dang.
Yeah. It's in real estate was interesting because I got my real estate license just because I wanted to be an investor, own a few properties.
Why did you choose real estate out of everything you could have an option of?
I was an electrician working 75-hour work weeks, right? Over at Grimway Farms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I would work in panels all day, and I was listening to a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And then another one called The Richest Man in Babylon. And I knew I wanted to be successful.
I love that book, bro. Yeah.
I didn't know how I wanted to be successful. I just knew I wanted more.
Yeah.
There had to be purpose. There had to be something beyond what I was doing.
70 hours. It's in the heat.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being an electrician. I actually had a really, really good job.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my calling.
Yeah.
It wasn't my destiny. And so
I love that.
I thought I was just going to be in real estate investing. And so what's interesting, and a lot of my old coworkers, like they'll tell me to like, I'll get messages on Facebook every now and then, like, Kyle, do you realize like you did it? And like, I forget. I'll have guys reach out from 12 years ago. They're like, man, it's so crazy. You used to be that kid that was just up in a scissor lift or boom lift or whatever, you know, these equipment, and you'd just be up there in our ear telling us about all these crazy dreams and ambitions you had. And they're like, it's crazy. Like you actually went and did it.
Wow.
And to me, like, I feel like I'm barely starting. I feel like I haven't done anything. So that's why it's good to hear that stuff every now and then. But so anyways, yeah, I was just going to be like on the investing side. Or that's what I thought.
Did you have any sales experience before that?
My whole life has been sales. And what I mean is my whole life has been sales in the sense that I came from nothing, had nothing. So I had to figure out a way to bring value to people who didn't believe in me.
Because for a guy like me, sales is terrifying, right? Because you got to put yourself on the limb.
Well, did I have sales experience? So I remember in middle school, me and a buddy, we were hustling sunglasses when aviators first came out. We were hustling sunglasses at $5 a pop, making $60 a day in middle school.
How were you getting them?
I think his family owned like a gas station, so they were able to purchase this stuff. And for me, that's where it started. I just started flipping everything.
Wow.
And I mean, it could have been, I mean, we'll just be real, like it could have been stuff that was not legal.
It's fine.
To stuff that was legal, right? And anyways, my wife and I, we were just talking this early. I have like an addiction. I sell myself on everything. We buy a boat and I like can't wait to sell it. We buy, you know, a off-road ATV, UTV thing. I can't wait to sell it. You know, we just bought a cabin and this is like our family cabin. My wife is in love with it. And last week I'm like, hey, we got to sell the cabin. She's like, well, I'm like, I don't know. We just got to sell it. I have no reason. I just got to sell it, dude. And I don't know. And I'm teasing. We'll probably
sales became a blast for you, man.
I think it's just, I don't know. To me, I have no emotional attachment to things like that.
Yeah.
We just remodeled our dream home.
Yeah.
I could sell it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
I don't get hooked on things like that.
It's healthy,
and
man.
so what happened was
Very
I was
healthy.
dreaming to have this sales job of a produce sales guy,
Okay.
grapes specifically.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
I can see that.
Yeah.
Being in Bakersfield.
Yep. And I had, gosh, I'm going to try not to like expose too much, but I had a job offer from, it was actually someone that I know that was close to me, and this job was presented to me. And I got so excited. I'd never been given a handout, like ever, on anything. And I was given this opportunity to be finally a produce salesperson.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Dude, that's big business right there.
Oh, dude, to me, like I'm seeing dollar signs and that and the just opportunity, just opportunity to finally like do something. It was the first opportunity I've ever had. Like I begged my grandpa to work for him in the sales, because he's in sales. Would never give me a job. I begged for people for like a leg. It was never given to me.
Yeah.
So I finally have this opportunity given to me. I'm telling my wife about it. We're talking about it. I'm telling friends about it. I just remember the joy. And I get a call, like it was like the next day. I think I was supposed to like go interview or something like that, anyways, it was supposed to be laid out in front of me.
Yeah.
And she goes, hey, we're not going to give you that job anymore. We're going to give it to this guy instead. Cause and it was just ripped out, dude. Blank, the rug pulled out.
No.
And I remember so infuriated. I was devastated. I'm like, of course. Why did I expect different?
Yeah.
And so right then is when I made the decision. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going into real estate because there's nobody who can tell me how much I can work. There's nobody who can tell me whether I can or can't sell. And I'm never going to have to get anyone's permission again.
Yeah.
Ever again. I'm just doing this. So that's kind of how it started.
You chose it because you wanted that freedom.
Just that I wanted the freedom,
And
but
control.
also that success was up to me, not anyone else.
So freedom and control.
Yep. Yes. And also I wanted to prove to like not only other people, but myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah. Well, that's a big part. You know, to me, that, you know, I grew up as the kid who really was terrible at school.
Same.
Right. As hard as I could to learn,
Yep.
you know, and I just didn't have the attention or focus. So academically, I always got bad grades.
Yep.
You know,
I can
always
relate.
got bad test grades.
I had in second grade, I had like a 5th grade reading level, but I was failing the reading class. In high school, the same math classes, English, everything that I took my freshman year, I took those same classes senior year.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of I just didn't do school.
You know,
School wasn't for me.
And you know, and what it did is it gave me a weird sense of failure, just because everybody around me was doing well, and I thought the only way to do something good was, you know, going to college.
Right.
And I just like, oh
That's
my
what the world
god,
tells you.
yeah. And
Go to
I was just
college.
like, oh my, and that was the worst area as skill for me. So I can sense that understanding. If you just want to prove like I'm not a failure,
Yeah.
You know, that driving force of like, I want to be something different where at one point I make an impact.
Yeah.
You know, that's hard, man. That is hard. So you get into, okay, you got into real estate, you got your motivation, you got your control, you get to make your own destiny, right? What was your vision when you first got in?
So when I got in, I had, my perspective was, there's two perspectives, right? Most real estate agents, I'd propose majority of agents that get in the business, they want freedom in the sense that they don't have to work much, right?
Oh,
I get to control my schedule.
I hear
Mine
that
was-
all the
I
time.
was doing 75 hours a week for Grimway Farm, at Grimway Farms.
Yeah.
For someone else making them money. I can do 75 hours. I can do 75 hours a week for me. And no one can tell me, like, hey, you're not allowed to work overtime. Hey, you're not allowed to. And so I was like, when I got in, I was like, oh, I'm just going to wreck this industry. Like, I had big head, and I didn't. I'm not like some major guy, and we'll talk about that later. But at first I was like, oh, I want to take over.
Yeah.
And so I got in with big ambitions, and I did. I worked really, really hard, my first couple of years.
You know why I love that?
So
in the scriptures, but in Samuel, there's the story where we're going through was King Saul and David. You know, we hear about all the different characteristics of David, but the one thing that I think people miss about his character is when King Saul, right after he slayed Goliath, King Saul gave him all the vineyards. He's trying to get, he's actually trying to get David away from him. So he's giving him stuff to work for, right? And you would have said, even though David was like the head guy above everything, he was the first one out in the day, and he was the last one back. The character of the hard worker, you will reap your fruits of your labor.
Absolutely.
If you're willing to work for
what
it.
you put into it.
Yeah, if you're willing to work for it. So you were willing to work for it. You saw your vision. How did you what was your vision? So you said you wanted to.
So there's kind of there's different points in my real estate career, and I've only been doing this like 7 years.
Oh, okay.
So it hasn't been.
That's a good amount of time, but not like forever.
Might be 6, might even be 6. I don't know. I don't get caught up in those things. I put the horse blinders on and I just go forward. I don't usually look back off, and that's not being cliche. Just, anyways, there was a couple different points where I had to like cast vision over what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right. And the first was I just wanted to prove that I could do this thing, and that nothing was going to stop me. So I started doing that, and I got started on a team. And the team I was on, I was just like, I saw all the areas where it could improve. And I looked at real estate, and all the real estate companies, it's about an individual. Oh, it's so-and-so and associates, so-and-so group. There's always someone's name building them. And I go, okay, what if I started a team that didn't build me? I don't need an ego. I'll just go and sell. It doesn't need to be about me. But what if I created an ecosystem where we are all just dope gangster agents that are doing this thing, loving on people, caring about doing it different, right? Like inspired to do it. We dress different. Our pants might be rolled up, like what you're seeing today, just a long sleeve shirt, and we're out here selling $1 million.
It's styling though, right? Hey, it's styling though.
Like I always chalk it up to like it's funny. It's like I'll be in Vans selling $1 million property.
Yeah,
it's not about that, right? It's just about who you are.
Yeah.
And so like that was going to be our culture, and I called it Wayside because I'm like, it doesn't need to be about me.
Yeah,
we're building each other up as like a culture, and so that was kind of the vision for it. Was that this wasn't going to be the Kyle Lawson show? It was going to be our group.
Wow, dude. So your goal was to make something, but instead of making it about you, your goal was to invest in the people and create a synergy.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how it happened. I kind of had a feeling I wanted a team. Like the vision happened as I got the team.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, if I did do a team, what is it going to look like? I honestly believe God just gave me a real estate team.
Right on.
Because it is very hard to get people to want to come and work underneath you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In the same month, I had like 5 people brand new. They're just like, hey, we know you're in real estate. We like the way that you do real estate. Could we be on your team? I'm like, well, I don't really have a team right now, but I can start a team. And that's kind of how it started. And I'm like, okay, well, if I have a team, what does the team look like? What are we going to do? And so that's kind of actually how it started.
How did you vision that? How did you?
I basically took what I was already doing, which was just like a more modernized in Bakersfield, dude. We're a bunch of we're late to the party. We're like old school, kind of slow moving. And I was like, I want to take like the cool things of like Southern California and bring it to Bakersfield. And that was like my vision for myself, right? Wanted to dress cool. I didn't want to just be your suit and tie agent, even though I started out that way. I didn't want to be your typical guy that you'd expect. So that was my vision for myself. So whenever it was like, okay, well, we're starting a team now, I just wanted to build off of that. I wanted that to be
Brilliant.
the image. It just didn't need to be my
Brilliant.
name.
Brilliant. So you knew specifically what you wanted.
Yep. I knew the look.
You had your
And I
framework.
was very specific. When I got into the business, I told it's all about being intentional. I got in the business, I was talking to a lender, and I said, he goes, well, you know, what do you do? I said, I want to work in the Northwest. That does not mean I won't work elsewhere, but I wanted to be in the Northwest of Bakersfield. Every single thing I did was in the Northwest. I worked,
Wow.
it was like 5 or 6 neighborhoods. And sure enough, flash forward, within a few years, that's all I did was Northwest at a certain price point, at a certain thing. Didn't mean I wouldn't do other things, but it was just like setting the intention that that's what I was going to do.
It's being very specific.
Yep.
Knowing exactly what you want,
Mhm.
knowing exactly, and for you, you know, you had it measurable too, right? How did you measure it?
Measure.
How did you know
What
if you're doing well and meeting your vision?
That's where it's tricky, because if you ask me, I'm never doing well. Right? Like, so like, I don't feel like, and honestly, I've hit the brakes. I'm not as ambitious being like legit. I'm not as ambitious as I was when I started, not even close. My daughters are getting older. Like, that's my priority now. Real estate does take the backseat to 2 things: my ministry, like my faith, Bible studies, stuff like that. And then my girls. When I say my girls, my wife, and my 2 daughters.
It's everything.
So real estate does come third in line to that.
Yeah.
So, and at first it wasn't that way, but I just started realizing, I'm like, dude, I'll be able to go and sell forever.
Yeah.
I could turn it on and turn it off in the snap of a finger. My daughters, they're not going to want me to drop them off at school every day forever.
Yeah.
So I drop them off every day. I try and pick them up as much as I can. You know, those are things that, like, I'm cherishing the moment now.
Yeah.
So I've made some adjustments. And so again, to your point, tying this back, I'm not as ambitious now as I was then. That doesn't mean I'm still not out here making moves, right? And growing something and building something. It's just not as aggressive for the moment.
I love that.
For the moment.
Oh man,
So
I
when you-
love
yeah.
that.
So when you ask, like, how do I measure my success? I don't think I'm all that successful. In fact, there's agents that are way more successful than me in terms of transactions, in terms of volume numbers. But I promise they probably don't have a relationship with their kids like I do.
Eh,
They probably don't have a relationship with their church the
I
way
love that.
And it's
I
like-
love that. So for you, it's almost like you took a step back. I'm sure you had, and the usual goals you start out was just about money.
Mhm.
And you realize once you're making a certain amount of money, you don't even need that
Well,
much
mine
money.
wasn't necessarily money. It was I wanted to prove that I could do it. I've never chased. That's what's interesting. I chased proving that I could do it and helping people, and the money just came.
Isn't that the way it works though?
It should. In fact,
Isn't
because
that
I
the
run a
way it
team.
is? Isn't
Well,
that the way it works?
so I run a team, and I'm telling you, like, a lot of these guys, they come in. If all they're focused on is money, I can almost guarantee that they're handicapping their success.
Mhm.
You make it about the process and enjoying what you're doing and chasing a real mission. It's different.
You know, I think that goes for everything.
Yep.
That
I
goes
agree.
for everything.
I
It's
agree.
about loving the process.
Yeah.
It's about loving what you do. It's about loving the people around that.
Yeah.
And then with that, boom, that's when everything blooms.
Yeah.
Wow. So for you, when you had your goals, your goal was just to prove that you weren't a failure. So once you saw that you had a team, things were flowing, things were working, you realized, I made it.
Yeah.
I got to where I want. But then your goals almost shifted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're like, I still have them. They're just not as big. Like
Well,
Yeah.
I would actually challenge that. I think your goals are bigger.
okay, yeah, they're different and they're more impactful.
Exactly. Your goals changed to bigger because the fact is the time and investment you put into your family is more worth than anything else.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Yeah, a relationship like with my daughters. So that's where this stems from, right? Like I don't have a relationship with my dad. I'm 32. I'd never have. Well, the only relationship I had was a toxic one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, as a parent, I don't know how you can, I don't know. I'm like, no, there's no way in the world that is my story or my kid's story.
So you decided to be different for your
Absolutely.
kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
my kids are
and
what
money
slowly started
wasn't going to get
changing
in that
me.
way.
Yeah.
Money wasn't getting in that way.
Well, and there was a few different times. Like I remember there was a point in my life where I felt like, so I was being invited to Bible studies and I had been a part of a Bible study and I had been doing a lot for the church, right? But I was also really busy.
Yeah.
And so I had to make a decision. I remember selfishly sitting there going like, God, if I do another Bible study, like, I mean, we're talking like I was doing 4 or 5 different church things a week.
Yeah, that's a
And
lot.
so I'm like,
That's
God,
a
if
lot.
I keep doing this, my business is going to suffer. And so it's like, I really had to go to the drawing board. Like, Kate, am I going to actually like continue doing this knowing it's going to cost my business? And it took a little bit of thought, and like that's not I'm not proud to say that, but like I had reservations because I was like, I don't want to take a hit in my business just because of my faith. And so anyways, I made the decision to go, you know what, God is the reason I am even successful.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'm gonna. So I did. It's weird. I bit off a few more things, and my business with less time ended up being bigger than it was that next year. Like I was expecting wholeheartedly that my business was going to go down. It went up with less time, and it was easier.
Dude,
It was just
that's
like,
that's
you
wild.
sacrificed for me, and so I'm going to reward you. It's kind of how it felt.
That is wild, man. The way, but that's the way it works, though.
Yeah.
Especially when you follow what's meaningful for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Especially when your priorities are right.
Yep.
And you're working though.
Yeah.
Right. You're still grinding.
Oh, I'm still working. Yeah.
You're still grinding. You're still doing your
Even
thing.
my part time is most people's full time.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I think you've done though is you've built strong processes
Mhm.
and those
Structures, systems.
structures,
Yep.
systems. See that, and I think that's what's most important. People need to realize, in order for you to reach your goal, you got to have structures and systems.
Yeah. So that's what our team meeting was about today. And I'm talking to the guys, in order to be successful, you need to have structures, systems, right? And you need to have discipline.
Yes.
Well, if you don't have a structure or a system, you don't know if it's a discipline problem or a structure problem. You don't even know yet. So some people are like, oh, I'm not disciplined. Well, you might not even have a system in place to follow.
Yeah.
You might be very disciplined. Let's first start with structures and systems. Can you follow a schedule? Because if you have the schedule, if it exists in your book, if it exists in your calendar, you know what you're supposed to be doing at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning. You know
Yeah.
you're supposed to be doing it 11:14 on Thursday, but you're not doing it. Well, now you have a discipline problem, not a structure problem.
Wow.
But start by implementing systems and structures, and then you get the discipline.
What would be the first step to somebody implementing a system and structure?
Know where you want to go. Know where you want to go.
Know where you
Yep,
want to
have
go.
the
Huh?
vision.
Have the vision.
And I know it sounds very juvenile, if you will, or childish, but I tell people, when you go to the beach, why are you going first off?
Yeah.
Okay. You want your feet in the sand. You want to feel the sun on, the salt in the air. You want to eat it splash, all that fun stuff. You know where you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's like, okay, well, you got to pack. You got to start preparing for this thing called the beach.
Yeah.
And then you have to start getting the car ready. So that's preparing, for the journey. And then it's like, you have to know how to get there. You don't just jump in the car and magically end up there. You're either going on the 46 or the 166, right? But either way, you have to get in the car, and start driving and get there. And it's like all of that exists. It started out with, okay, well, where are we going and why? Okay, we're going to the beach for all the reasons I just named. Okay, so what do we got to do to get there? Okay, we got to pack, got to get the car gassed up. Then now we create a channel. How are we going to get everything that we have now over there? Okay, cool. We're going to follow directions.
Yeah.
We're going to get there.
Man.
And it sounds like, it sounds basic, but it's that simple. Okay, what do you want? I want financial freedom. Okay, that means I'm going to have to make a certain amount of money. When I get that money, I'm going to have to steward it correctly. I want to build a team. Okay, well, what am I going to have to invest into this team? I want to build my personal business. It starts with that vision. Like, what do I want to do with this stuff? And then it's like, okay, well, what do I have to do in order to get ready for it? Right?
It sounds
Sorry, I'm
so,
probably rambling too.
No, it's brilliant. Oh no, it's brilliant. It sounds so simple, right? The way you map it out, but it's just facts though.
Mhm.
If you
It actually
don't,
kind of is simple.
it is once you put in the work for
Mhm.
it. You got to know where you're going to go.
Yep.
You have to have your why.
Mhm.
And if your why is crappy,
Yep.
you're not going to get there. If your
Yep.
why, because I want to make more money,
Yeah.
oh man, you're going to get there and be very disappointed.
You'll just chase whatever the easiest thing. Like, how much easier it would have been whenever solar was going bananas to just like, I'm
Yeah.
going to go sell solar because it's a lot easier, it takes less time, and I could get more transactions done.
Yeah.
It's not my end game.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
all you're chasing is $1, you're just going to,
And you're going to be empty still.
yeah.
That's
Nothing
facts.
against solar either. I'm just saying, like, I know my lane and I know my vision. I know where I'm going.
And I think one thing you said earlier, you knew your calling too.
Yep. Yeah.
Calling has a lot to do with what we do.
Yeah.
But once you have your vision, you need to take a step. We need to look around, look at your vision, see how to get there.
Mhm.
And then once you see how to get there, you almost have to start, just what are the sequences
Mhm.
and the steps that will get you there?
Right.
What are the characteristics and the behaviors that'll get you there?
Yeah.
And then start building that start looking at, do I have this characteristic or do I need to build that character? Do I have that habit?
And when your character works out through the process.
Yeah.
My character, oh my gosh. I still am a work in progress, but man, when I first started this business, I'm like, oh man, I have some cleanup work I got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what?
Never like just personal stuff, right? Like not anything like, oh, I got to stop trying to like, burn something, like not like that, but just like, oh, I probably need to clean up the way I conduct myself in certain environments, or I need to care less about
That's a big deal,
myself
though.
and my business and more about my kids. Like, I mean, just clean up work in that area. Like, I know this sounds like interesting, but like even things like cussing, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, dude, if you're sitting there representing an organization or people, or like people don't want to hear you dropping F-bombs.
Yeah.
And, smoking cigarettes or chewing tobacco, I did both of those. If I'm out, it was no big deal to have several drinks at a restaurant. It's like, that's just, you can't really
Yeah.
do stuff like that if you're trying to be a beacon of hope for people. So you do have to conduct yourself a little bit differently. And you think you're sacrificing at first, but you're actually improving.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're getting stronger
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, once you have your sequences, once you have your steps that you want to get there,
Mhm.
even something as a calendar,
Mhm. Yeah.
if you don't have discipline,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your talent will sometimes some people will get certain place off of talent, but I'm always willing to bet. And I'm always, I'm always rooting for the guy who's working hard
Yeah.
opposed to the talented.
Yeah.
That grinder.
Yeah. And that's where it's like interesting. What's the saying? It's like a hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work.
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah.
true.
No, it's facts. And I'm glad it does. Look at
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right now we're in a generation where there's so much rah of this. Like people get all excited. They want to, build off your emotions and they want to get you inspired. They don't leave you with any like actual action items.
Yeah.
To just like, hey, no, like, look, you're not going to want to go to the gym every morning. You're not going to want to make that phone call. You're not going to want to take a call at 7 p.m. You just have to do it.
You just got to build the habit.
You just got to do it.
And then once you
And-
build the habit,
The thing I always tell my agents too is like, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
yes.
It should be normal
Yes.
for you to do things that you don't want to do.
Yes. I can't, so working in the schools, I see a lot
Mhm.
and seeing everywhere. I just can't believe how people are trying to work so hard to be comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
what the heck? How they can't handle just simple pain anymore,
Yeah.
right? You go to the gym. Don't you expect to have that burning sensation?
Yeah. A little bit.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
you're supposed to.
and without that burning sensation, which is very uncomfortable, can you achieve growth?
Yeah. No.
Why would your nervous system work any different?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
would life be any different? The
It
fact,
gets easier too once you get used to like doing things that are tough.
well, because this is something you said earlier. Not only does it get easier, well, it gets easier, but I'm gonna say something. It gets better because
Mhm.
just like the leg workout, a
Yeah.
leg workout that has a burning sensation. Once you do it and you have the habit of it, then you start seeing the results of your neurochemistry.
Yeah.
Then you see the results of you have more energy. Then you see the results of you growing.
Mhm.
But it's just the fact is, you just got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
That's it. It's that simple.
Well, because we're so used to avoiding pain.
Mhm.
We're teaching people, hey, avoid pain. Oh my God, avoid stress. Oh, stress is so dangerous for you. You know what? You need to embrace stress.
Mhm.
You need to learn how to cope with stress. You need to learn your
Well,
steps.
A lot of doctors are saying that certain levels of stresses are healthy.
Oh, bro.
Like being hungry is a healthy thing. So
Well, look at me, bro. If you're not hungry enough, you gain weight.
no, I mean, like, cold plunges, right? People are into
Yeah.
those. And I mean, I did them for a long time, a good season. And it's like, it does create some mental discipline, getting in a sauna. It's not easy to sit in 180 degrees for 20 minutes every morning, but it's those little disciplines like that you're talking about.
The fact is, you want results.
Mhm.
And if you want results, you got to be willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And at times, it's hard work. And with that hard
Yep.
work comes some uncomfortable burning sensations.
Yep. Exactly. You're hitting it. You're right on.
And
Yeah.
once you get used to that, I don't care what you're doing,
Mhm.
you will be successful.
Yeah.
But make sure that
Yeah.
goal's there
Mhm.
and make sure you know your why. Have your structures, have your systems, have your processes. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you can try and create like a fail-proof system. And ultimately the only fail-proof system is like you willing to readjust, change, and put in the work.
That's it. That's it, baby.
Mhm.
Dang, bro, we're already at 30 minutes.
What else you guys? Is that it?
Hey, the only fail system you have, we can guarantee this, is you willing to adapt and work hard.
Mhm.
The failure is stopping.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
quitting.
dude, I'm adjusting my systems weekly, monthly, yearly, right? Like we're always making adjustments. I'm coming out of a setback year this last year where I had an injury that took me out for 3 months. You know, it like devastated me. And talk about rebuilding, bro. I'm like, this is my comeback year. I
Yeah.
had every reason in the world to like let that be like, okay, I'm gonna take it easy this year. Last year was really hard on me. Psh, not a chance, bro. Like we coming, baby.
Boy. But that's what I like, you know, and that's why I'm glad I had you on, because this is what we need. We need that energy. We need that fiery spirit,
Yeah.
right? We want people that are willing to be aggressive for what they want.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching us. I enjoyed our time, my boy Kyle. Thank you. Like, subscribe, do everything that you need to do. Peace with some chicken grease.